It's game time again. Hello and welcome to the Three Blind Mice podcast. I'm joined, as always, by my two cohorts in crime and former officials Don Nardecki and Jim Borgia. We're also co-authors of the Officials Tales book, now available on Amazon Kindle and soon to be on Amazon Books. And we will have a few signed copies available as Don is coming into the area in the next couple of weeks. And Jimmy, Don, and I will have a few of those available for anyone that's interested. Thanks again for joining us, and we hope you enjoy the topics we're going over today. Basically, a couple of situations. One's an end of the game situation where there's some controversy, as always. And another is at the end of a game where we have a fight scenario that goes on, and we'll have our thoughts on maybe what we could have done better or what maybe they could have done better to prevent that from happening. So, welcome to the show, Don. Jim, any opening thoughts, Don?
Just ready to roll here. I just want to give one shout out. Our good friend from back in Ohio. Well, you guys are from Ohio, but Howie Dent has been a longtime friend of all of us,
Mhm.
and we keep in contact, but not contact like we should. So Howie lives about 30 minutes south of me, and we've talked a couple of times since he's been down here, and he wanted one of the books, so I let him know about the podcast too. So Howie, if you're joining us, glad to have you aboard, buddy, and we'll be together here. And after we get back, and I got a handful of books to sell out of the trunk.
Jimmy, any opening thoughts?
Well, when he said that about Howie, I said we were doing a game together down at Ontario, and that's about the time they were talking about the three-man officiating stuff, and I got a picture of him and me out of the Mansfield News Journal. If I'd have known that you were going to have that, I would have had it out here.
Well, he does appear in the book, gentlemen. Don't forget.
Yeah, he is
So
mentioned. Yes, sure is.
it's kind of a good thing, and it's nice to give a shout out to some of us, some of the older guys that we worked with, that sort of helped us along the way, and maybe even gave us some great ideas, or maybe even bad ideas. Who knows? As we went. So
We make good out of bad.
yeah, we sure did, and and I think, gentlemen, I think that a lot of our success was born out of working with all these different folks and then us coming together and then making it so that we could make our own hand signals. We got to a point where we could just do a hand signal or eye contact, and we could control what we were doing on the floor together, which is huge. And you'll see that, I think, in a couple of these videos. So I think our first video today is an end of the game situation, and you'll see what we talked about many times before about end of the game mechanics, what you should do, what you shouldn't do, and so forth. And well, I'll tell you what, let's just roll it. I will roll it back a couple of times because I will talk a little bit during the video, so you can, because there are certain things I'd like you to look at. So bear with me as we get started here, and away we go. And here we go. As you can see, there's 16 seconds left in the game. It's a 4-point contest, so keep that in mind. Okay, now I didn't want you to take notice of what happened right at the top of the key. Now pay attention. So now we have a 3-point shot, and now we have the inbound. Okay, now I'd like you to take a look. Let's roll back just a little bit here. Take a look at the shooter at the last second shot, but I want you to pay
After she steals the ball,
right
after she steals the end goal.
Yeah, her left foot. Pay attention. Okay. Now that we've digested that a little bit, Don, what's your feelings?
Okay, that comes down to what we talked about in our pregame conference about last second calls. Now, I didn't get a good look at what happened. It looked to me like prior shot, the one girl pushed the other girl out of the way. Now, I don't know if it was a screen. I was watching the potential shooter, see what was going on. So I missed that in this situation, but I watched the shooter closely, and she did a heck of a job to intercept that inbounds pass.
Right.
In fact, she was playing on one foot, and I think she caught the ball, came down on her foot. The other foot, she was so off balance. The other foot stayed in the air, but she hopped on that foot and she threw it up. Now, she had not established which foot was her pivot foot.
Correct.
Because you can land with 2 feet. So if she picks up that foot to shoot and then lands, now that's her pivot foot. If she comes down with both feet, she can move one of them. So she came down and she still had the other foot up in the air when she hopped. So my take is that's a good shot. Now,
Okay.
that's what my take is, because that other foot never came down. She never established which foot was going to be. If the other foot came down at relatively the same time, she has her choice, or she can hop and land on 2 feet. That's part of that Euro step that really throws people off.
Yeah. Yep.
So what she's
Absolutely.
doing here, you take this as a kind of a partial Euro step, just a weird play because she's so doggone
Right.
fast. So the foul there, the foot got me watching. That's it. And the other thing that is tough in this is because, they were set up to call a last second shot at that end. So now with the ball coming in bounds, and some of those players from the what were the defense, now the offense, about to be the offense, a couple of those players headed down court. The trail official in their previous setup is starting down court to watch what they're doing. So now it leaves you with 2 officials: the guy that's watching the inbounds and the play there, and the guy that's going to be in the area where the interception happens. And so that's a tough call for him. He's really taken by surprise here, or he should be, because you're expecting that person to foul the girl catching the ball.
Absolutely.
And when she makes that great play to intercept, she has no choice but to throw it up there. And she did it by taking that 1 foot hop without ever planting the other foot. So, I'm sure that guy was really taken, and he probably, that would be a tough call to make. The ball hits the backboard, and the shot is no good, but the foul that they call does come into play. And that's going to go because the clock expired. They're going to have to decide if the foul happened before the clock went off, which it did. I mean, it was almost hitting the backboard. And how much time then was there that elapsed from the moment that the foul occurred and the whistle might have been blown, and how much time there should be left on the clock. So we are maybe having a play after that free throw. We may load the lane with players and have a play with 4/10 of a second or something. That's the other thing they have to. That's a load on that guy that is probably even on to the free throw line.
But now,
when we worked and we were going to get spread out, we always tried to keep the guy that was the center official somewhere in the circle at the top of the key. Keep him right there until that inbounds pass is made, because there's too much for one person to watch. And so, I mean, there's a lot for him to watch, and that was probably the last thing on his list of probably 8 potential happenings, that's probably the last thing he'd think of is that girl was going to make an off balance catch and throw.
That's correct. Jimmy, what do you got?
Uh, at first, when we talked about it earlier today, and I went home and I looked at it, and I'm thinking, with those two girls that were supposedly going to be going on offense when that ball was thrown in, then that girl intercepts a pass. I think the official that called the foul eventually, I think he was looking more at contact with those two girls that close to her than he was worried about her hopping on the foot. And to me, why the heck didn't that girl just haul off and throw it clear down at the other end?
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't even have to worry about it, because I looked at it and I kind of started a count when they were bringing the ball up. So I'm thinking there was about 9 seconds possibly when she took that shot, give or take. By the time it went out of bounds, and then when she caught the ball after she threw it in, she could have stood there for almost 5 seconds. I mean, how many of us start as soon as the girl catches the ball? As soon as she gets the ball out of bounds, how many do us start right now at that and count to 5?
Yeah, there's no way it was 5 seconds. So
well, that's what I said too. But to take and throw it down at the other end of the court, because she could have stood there for 4 seconds and just kind of lofted it, because in high school basketball the clock don't stop.
Right. But
and in college and pro it does stop. Mm-hmm. But by throwing it clear down at the other end, maybe one of your teammates could just touch it enough that clock starts or kept on going. You wouldn't have brought it back down if nobody touched the ball.
But now let's go back to what Don's point was. Okay. Now the trail had now vacated because he thinks or she thinks that the play is going to go potentially half to 3/4 court.
Right.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
So now we have a foul. Okay. The horn went off. Who normally looks at the clock? The trail.
Huh?
Go, oh, wait. No, we had like 2 seconds. So now the trail probably has no idea if there's time on the clock. So now we have another situation. So again, I think into the game preparation, like Don always talks about. We used to talk about in our pregame. Hey, if we had a situation like this, remember, don't bail out. Don't bail out. Stay put, because crap happens, right? So I mean, that's kind of what I think. That's the lesson here. I think the foul was strong. I couldn't. Maybe she walked. Maybe she didn't. I think the foul was strong. I think we go with it. I have no qualm with the foul. But now, what do we do now? Do we now we empty the lanes and shoot it, and she makes them both? They win the game. I mean, we're talking a state. I think it was a state final here. What do we do? And Jimmy mentioned to me earlier, we have the ability in Ohio in the tournament to go look at the.
Where do you go?
Hello,
Rick.
Come on back, brother.
About that. So
There it
that,
comes.
There it is.
What?
Would you have to have a bathroom break?
no, it was one of those crazy things. But that to me is what we can look at videos. I don't know that they could do it or not, but boy, that would be a help, wouldn't it?
Mm.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, that would be huge. So I'll tell you what. Why don't we go now? Don, did you have a couple more shout outs you wanted to get in before we did the next video?
Yeah, we talked about the shortage of officials back in might even have been our first sample podcast that really turned out much better than I anticipated. Now, the second podcast was an absolute 33-minute blooper roll. and that's what should have happened at first. But we addressed that, and I just want to give a shout out to the men and ladies in the Bay Area Officials Association, because our little 4 county, stuck in the middle between Cleveland and Toledo Association. I always knew we had awfully good officials, and the previous secretary, Greg Bartimus, and the current secretary, Brian Bowers, are doing a great job, and all their members are doing wonderful and keeping the membership up. When I was back for the Hall of Fame ceremonies a couple of weeks ago, I was startled by their numbers, because they were close to what we had 10 years ago, before the shortage really, 10, 15 years ago, before the shortage started to happen. So Greg gave up the reins, and Ryan took him over as the secretary, and that's the guy that is the front person in the association. They've done a great job, and I'm going to name just a few other people here. And these are people that were that started the Hall of Fame on the committee. And these are a lot of movers and shakers in the association. Great job to them. The chairman is Tom Priestman, who, when I was the rules interpreter, Tom was my assistant. And when I left, he took over, did a great job. And he has now moved from that position to chairman of the Hall of Fame. Kurt Lever, Patty Martin, Ryan Bowers, Andy Kennedy, Joe Roth. And I remember when Joe just passed the football class, he came out to work we got him 3 or 4 games in Norwalk, junior high, freshman games. Joe looked like a guy had been doing it 3-4 years. And to say that about somebody that has just finished the class, just coming out of something, I thought he had a lot of potential. He's doing a great job, both football and basketball, Joe is. I mentioned Greg Bartimus, Keith Newton being a part of the Hall of Fame committee, and my old crewmate, great guys. Brad Huntley, one of the guys we worked with back in the days of the North Coast Football Officials Clinic. So just a great shout out and well done to those folks who are bringing along good young officials, doing a great job themselves. And a special one to my good friend Jeff Todd, who kind of came about 10 years after me, and I just see Jeff doing a great job, and he is working hard right now, mentoring the young officials to bring those along. Made me feel really good to see Jeff get involved with that. So, and he's on the Hall of Fame committee too. So these people are the movers and the shakers that are really doing a great job.
That's great. Jimmy, you got anything before we go to the next video?
Well, like I said, when I first started, Larry, as he was known to a few of the guys back in the day as Hound Dog Huffman. And Larry got me my first game, and through that, we had lost several officials that did a hell of a job helping us younger guys out. We just lost one here about a month ago, Roger Dennis, who was over in Bellevue. And Jim Whittington, who was the AD and head football coach at Edison, he gave Larry the okay to give me my first shot at a varsity game, which I won't never soon forget that, because we ran that night. And 93 to 87, we go in the locker room, and old Whit wanting to know if I was going to make it. He said, "You look like red as a beet." And I went into the bathroom and looked, and by God, I was. I made it through. But I had to, because the next night I went out into another good friend of ours, John Spear, who would just about do anything. He was the AD and the girls' head coach out at Western Reserve, and we had lost him to ALS about I'm thinking in the neighborhood of about 15 plus years ago, if not
I
more.
think so.
At least,
Yeah.
yeah.
And he was a hell of a, well, he helped me out one night. I couldn't get in my car, so I went back in, said something to him. I pulled one of the tractors out, pulled me inside the gym where they work on the tractors and stuff, and he said to me, he says, you know, I had one promise tonight. And I said, well, I said, call Becky and I'll tell her that you're with me. And the next day I said, well, I'll tell you what. I said, I'll bring a homemade pizza down. And I called down and want to make sure they were there. And Becky answered, and I said, hey, is John there? And come to the phone. I say, hey, I'll be bringing you a pizza down. I don't know if he thought I was just joking around but I had all the stuff ready to go. Boom, got in there, made it, took it down, knocked on the door. Becky come, and she big smile on her face. I see her down at the rec center from time to time, and I had told her that we had a little part in there about John and me bringing that pizza down. But John was a hell of a nice guy. So
Yeah.
couple of shout outs to those guys, and I'm hoping the guy that told me he thought that Larry passed away. I thought, oh hell no, I hope not, because I had called and talked to his wife, but he'd been having trouble getting around in their house, so he had moved in with their daughter because everything was on a one level floor. And was trying to get a hold of him last year about going to the banquet and stuff, and never heard anything back. So
Well,
I want to hop on this just a second. Larry lived between Milan and Huron up here in north central Ohio. I was down at Gallion, which is probably an hour and 20 minutes drive from where Huffy lived. And I don't remember who Gallion was playing, but I had a call that was, I had to hustle my butt to make the call and make the call right. And all of a sudden I hear this voice coming from the crowd behind me. Nice call, Donnie boy. And I thought, my God, I haven't heard that voice in 20 years. And I looked when I had a chance during the dead ball, and there was Larry sitting up in the stands. Larry Huffman, what a guy.
What a guy.
You know why, don't you? His brother was a teacher down in Gallion.
Well, he said he had a grandson playing for Gallion. Nephew, maybe, or grandson playing for
Probably
Gallion.
a nephew.
Yeah,
because his brother Lynn had played in some of the poker games. In fact, that's where Larry kind of made that first connection with Larry, because I come in and had my shirt on, and he goes, "You referee and playing poker," and next thing you know, so there you go.
All right. Well, okay, let's move on to the next video. And then we have one surprise contest at the end. So,
surprise
video, it's a surprise contest.
Are we allowed to be in on it?
Oh, well, absolutely. You're a big part of it. So here we go. So next, the next video is, we can go through this quick because we've been through these stupid fight scenarios before. But I have a feeling once we watch this again, this is a new video. We'll see here, from this video, a fight sequence at the end of the game, and I think this thing could have been prevented if we could have done a little better job during the game. So here we go, gentlemen. Tell me what you think.
Especially behind the arc has been great. Huge in there.
Okay, so pay close attention to the rough play under the basket. Here we go.
Especially behind the arc has been great. Huge thin air ball. Christmas. No. Rebound Radford and a foul, and now things going to get chippy. Zapala trying to go after. Now he shoves Turner. No. This is not what you want to see at the end of this game. Zapala's hadn't been held back. And Aldridge getting in there with Nichols. The two coaches doing a nice job of pushing everybody back. Nichols talking with Aldridge. Zapala takes off his jersey. He's headed out. A frustrating night for Longwood. Looks like Radford is going to hold on, but that is not the way you want this game to end. It's been a physical game tonight, and now the officials will sort it out.
And the frustration comes out at the end.
Zapala there. Kind of elbowed a little bit. Aldridge kind of pushes him away a little bit. Zapala shoves Turner. Archer gets right back into Zapala. And now Archer, you can see Archer and Zapala trying to sort this out themselves. Zapala says, I'm done. Archer
puts his hands up.
Yeah.
And then Turner would have pushed. And Archer comes in pointing his finger. That could be taunting.
Boy, we have a lot of things to talk about on that one, don't we? So what I see there is, I think, a game that wasn't managed well from the tip from the first half. If you recall the commentators saying, this has been a very physical game, and I assume that the team that lost wasn't supposed to lose, and I go back to that thing we talked about last week, where, at what point do we stop officiating? And I wonder if these guys even started officiating. So, there's one thing to know the rules, and there's another thing to be a good game manager. And we talked about that several times through these podcasts. So, Don, what's your take?
Well, I took a peek at their records because Radford's about 4 hours from here up on Interstate 81.
Okay.
And Longwood is, we see Longwood down here once in a while too. So they're teams that are borderline in the South. And Longwood actually had the better record here, but I don't think Radford's record was all that bad. So my guess is they probably played a ball game that was physical, but pretty well played. But the fact that the team that had the better record was behind and going through, trying anything they can. There were 30 seconds to go to come up with the ball. Now, obviously, number 12 got in trouble when he put a bear hug from behind on the guy that had the rebound. There was a couple of hacks in there before that, but this guy was bad. And then because the guy wouldn't let go of the ball, obviously that had it, he started to trouble. This guy took and swung him around, and that's when everything moved over by the benches. So then we got one going there. 12, if he'd have stopped after that kind of a swing that let that guy out, I think he'd have got by with just an excessive contact and F something. But
I'm
went
sure.
It went on, and a couple of things that I had seen.
Yeah.
This guy just wouldn't let up. The one official, with the dark-haired official, had him kept him away from the group, but the guy was persistent trying to get through. I've seen that official. The dark-haired one here. He's a pretty young guy, but he is by far the best young official I've seen. We don't see many young ones. And he's worked a couple of games here where I thought he was the best of the three.
Wow.
Now, so I wonder if this was just excessive at the end, and that guy was feeling the pressure, because I think Longwood had three. There was something in three, maybe 15-3, 16-3. The other team was probably 12-7 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, a couple other things I saw is that number 10, when they got over by the bench, he kind of set a moving screen up so that the opponent, a kid from Longwood, would run into him. I didn't see, but he set up number 12. He was another one that in the melee might have added a little salt to the wound. And eventually number 12 gets kicked out of the ball game. I have here that Radford's number 0 looked like a peacemaker, at first, but then after a bit, he just kind of crashed into the whole mass of people right in front of the bench there. I think he was the one I saw walk off to Radford. Number 7 was on the bench at one time, put his arms out, trying to keep his teammates back, but while still looking at it, he just had him out like as a signal. But something happened and he got involved because I saw him walk off too. So a lot of craziness in there, and I tell you, it went from a stupid attempt to get the ball, or maybe just an intentional foul that turned bad, turned sour.
Right.
And it just got out of hand in a hurry. I mean, with these guys, the size of these guys, the quickness, it can do that very easily.
Absolutely. Jimmy?
Yeah, I think number 5. I couldn't remember if he was on the red or the blue team. What the hell happened there? Anyway, he come in and give somebody a good shove in there, and then all of a sudden, there to the left of it, you could see him coming in there again. But these guys are college players, and they're getting paid now. I think what they ought to do is, take X amount of money away from them.
Yeah.
I mean, you got now where you've seen like at down Ohio State when the women played and Ohio State upset Iowa, and they stormed the court, and Caitlin Clark got hurt. Now they're talking about finding the teams $10,000 for coming on the court, and if it happens again, maybe I'd heard even forfeiting the game.
Well, we got to do something. We can't have people storming the court. That's for sure.
The SEC has assessed some pretty hefty fines for people storming the courts down here, up to the point where I think it was more like 50,000, and the second one 100,000. And also they have problems with football. I will say, at Clemson for years and years, it's been a tradition to what they say is meet at the paw after the game. And they have enough security people down here that direction things out. And the only time I've ever seen it stopped was during COVID. And so they still do that, but the kids do it in a positive way, kind of gather around the football team. And I'm sure the football team enjoys the biggest thing. You want to get in the locker room, celebrate, and get a cold shower. But they do it within reason. I've seen reason to do it down here. When Clemson hadn't beaten North Carolina in 30 years or so in basketball, they did it here. They strategically have the students placed behind the adults that pay big bucks to sit outside, and the rest of the students are under the basket. So they only have a smaller area that they have to control. And then they always have a way where they line up people so that the visiting team can clear the court easily after they go through the handshake line. So you got to talk about it at the upper levels of the administration here, how they want to do it, and the court becomes a league thing too. Then.
All right. Well, I think we've gone through that one pretty good. Now, as we close today, we're putting in a contest. It's called Guess the Mystery Referee. And if you can guess that, you'll get a special prize. And away we go.
Are we eligible?
No. Any clues?
Oh yeah, Tony Orlando. Tony Orlando.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's got to be in the form of a question.
Oh, I never thought of Burt Reynolds.
And remember, if you're listening, when you message us on YouTube or Facebook, it's got to be in the form of a question.
Yeah.
So, any closing thoughts, gentlemen?
Will we have what are we giving the winner?
Well, we can decide that
A jar of
at a later time.
sauce.
Ah,
A jar of sauce. A jar of sauce. Any
oh.
closing thoughts, Nardo?
I think I'm done.
You think you're
if I
done?
win that,
All right, Jimmy.
Yeah. I knew something was up when you didn't tell me earlier today.
Well, you know,
isn't it?
if we're gonna have Junior Mint commercials,
Yeah, there you go.
definitely have to have contests from time to time.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
All right. Yeah.
So as we close today, just remember to click the like button and click the alert bell to find out when we're going to post some new stuff, and keep a watch out for us. Let us know how we're doing. Oh
Watch
yeah,
the Facebook page too.
yeah. Talk to us on the Facebook page. If you got questions or comments, I'm sure we'd love to get back to you.
And
So
Facebook page is Three Blind Mice.
That's right.
Okay,
And
and I know there's 2 or 3 other people that have Three Blind Mice Facebook pages too. So
Not
don't
like
get
us.
discouraged if the first one you click is not the one you're looking for.
But as Jimmy said last week, badit, that's all, folks. Stay classy.